Hey guys, and welcome back. Pardon my squinting, it's quite bright out today. I'm taking advantage of this beautiful weather to start the next phase of my project out here. Now I'm going to keep it a secret a bit longer, at least until we plant, but I figured I could let you in a little bit by doing the soil mix that I'm going to use for this and start prepping the actual garden itself with some rocks and other things that I think are pretty interesting. Now what I have here is some coconut coir, which is it's pretty cool stuff. It expands amazingly. This was just a 10-pound brick that was about this big, and it's filled this entire container. It's way easier to work with than the peat, and what I like best about it is it's a sustainable resource, being as it's made from coconut fiber. So it's relatively inexpensive, renewable, and just super cool stuff. And the point of this is it'll retain moisture really, really well, but it'll allow the plants that I'm choosing's roots to not be too waterlogged so that they aren't prone to rot. And then over here I have some poultry grit, which is made for chickens. It's basically insoluble granite bits that are pretty uniform in size and shape. And I'm gonna do an equal part mix of that with this coconut coir and fill up my other sink with it. Now if I don't have enough, I may mix some sand in too, but I want this to be a nice light easy draining soil. So I'm going to take some of this stuff and some of that stuff, mix it all together and put it in there, and then I'll show you when it's done, and we'll place some rocks and do some other fun stuff. So this is the mix. You can see it's pretty much half and half, the chicken grit and the coconut fiber, and it should drain really easily and allow for easy root development. So I'm pretty excited about it. I'm going to add some various aquascaping rocks. I think I'm going to use some elephant skin stone, which I have collected all around. Hey guys, well, the weather seemed really nice the other day. It did a typical spring thing where there was an absolute downpour. So I'm out here again today to finish up my soil mix and place my stones for this mystery garden. And I think it'll be really fun if you guys take a second to guess what you think I'm gonna plant in this garden in the comments section below. So if you remember correctly, or if I remember correctly, I have a mix of the coconut coir and the chicken grit, and I'm just gonna add some perlite just for a little bit more drainage. Also, I had this laying around, and for the particular plants that are going in this garden, this will be just fine. Now, I couldn't use this in my bog garden because it's enriched with Miracle-Gro, and if you remember correctly, the carnivorous plants don't tolerate fertilizers. But for this particular plant, it'll work out just fine. I'm just gonna dump this in and mix it with my hands. Get you some more ASMR here. I really enjoy gardening, and I'm looking forward to doing a bit more with the outside of our house. Yeah, this is really compacted, and what we want is the soil to stay nice and loose, so adding this perlite will really help. Oh, that's nice and fluffy. Whew, but is it cold? Now, it may have seemed to make more sense to mix this outside the actual garden, but I honestly wasn't sure how much soil I would need for this. So I figured mixing it in would get me the proper ratios without wasting product. There we go. So up next, I'm just gonna place my rocks. And I'm only doing this because I have so many rocks, and I just thought it would be neat to plant plants between them. Ooh, burr. So next I'm just going to place some rocks. I have these two large ones in the middle because I really liked the character they have. And honestly, the actual placement of all this stuff won't be that important because I'm going to plant in between it. But I thought it would be interesting to see how the plants grow around and over the various stones. So I'm going to try and leave some nice spaces in between them. And when my plants finally come in, they're running a bit late, we will probably adjust things then. But I really like this elephant skin stone because I feel like it has a lot of character. Lots of wrinkles and textures, and I think it'll play nicely off the plants I plan on choosing. And you do this similar, I'm doing this just the way I would in an aquarium, just sort of trial and error. I'm supporting it with some of the substrate underneath. It is chilly out today. We'll do, now we'll probably do a quick update on the bog garden as well. Just because I've added some things to it that I wanted to share with you guys. I'm trying to keep this relatively balanced so that when I plant, it will make sense. And using a variety of rock sizes and shapes. It is absolutely frigid out here. Trying to create little paths between the rocks that'll make sense with the plants that I'm choosing. Now it's important to mention that this bin does not drain into that bin. It drains into this gravel here. It would be a really bad idea for my carnivorous plants to get any of this enriched soil. I think we'll leave it like that, and then we'll play around with it more once my plants come in. So this should be a well-draining, bright light garden that requires very, very little maintenance and will overwinter here in my planting zone. So this is a close-up of the potting mix, which again is perlite, coconut coir, and chicken grit. And the elephant skin stone. I really think this stuff's gorgeous. It has a lot of texture, a lot of wrinkle. It's really, really fantastic for aquascaping, and I think it'll make an interesting feature in this garden. I'm hoping that the texture will allow the plants that I'm choosing to sort of creep and crawl along the rocks as well as the soil. It should make for a really interesting contrast to my bog garden. Now with the bog garden, I have added the live sphagnum moss to the surface, and eventually it'll cover most of the surface and it'll help with the soil integrity. Now we had a ton of rain the last day, and as you can see, the bog garden is nice and wet, but it doesn't have any pooling, and that's because I did allow for drainage along the sides of this bog garden behind the liner. So I'm really pleased to see that it did what I hoped. And we already have a lot of new growth on some of the plants. So I'm super happy about that. You can see baby pitchers developing on a lot of these plants. Now it's still a bit early and it's still a bit chilly. So in time, these guys should all fill in really nicely. In a year or two, I'll have to split a lot of these to make room because they will get quite large. But I think it's going to be super fun in the meantime. And when I do that, I'll be able to check my drainage and make sure that everything's still going the way I wanted. I hope you guys are enjoying these little gardening projects from me. Let me know in the comments below what sort of gardens you put in, or if you have any suggestions for things you'd like to see. I think it's a nice complement to aquascaping as well as fish keeping to have these sorts of atypical, interesting gardens. I can't wait to hear if you guys can guess immediately what kind of plants are going in here, or if it's more mysterious.
It's something brand new to me, so I'm pretty excited. I did collect some of the plants last fall as well as order a bunch, and they should be in this week. If they come in time, we'll plant this for my Thursday video, so stay tuned and make sure you have that notification bell on. Let me know below what you guys think. Make sure you stop by my Instagram and my Facebook so that you can follow additional content from me.